Hello, everybody. This is Michael from Spades Consulting. We are going to focus on Gen Z and Gen Alpha for right now. Why you shouldn't waste your time with college. First and foremost, issue number one. Going forward, it's important for you to keep in mind that you're coming in at the back of a very, very long line. When you consider how many, even Gen X, but Gen X and millennials got their paperwork and have been able to do nothing with it so far, the second that a job does come up, if you're 24 years old competing with a 30-year-old plus, you're in a weak spot. First and foremost, companies don't want to take chances, especially these days. They are not in the business of taking chances. They don't care. They don't care how much energy you have. They will possibly consider you for one of the higher end jobs when you get into your 30s or 40s. And especially once you get that old, enough interest is probably accrued on your student debts that you will literally do anything for that job. Manipulation, yeah. It's not exactly, well, manipulation by default, by proxy, just wait them out, starve them out. Economic siege warfare. They prefer you to be in a weak position because then they know they have you by the balls. All right, so just in terms of competition, you're smoked. All right, unless, you somehow master every new, like, going with tech. Um, Tech tools are always evolving. The AI models now are always evolving, not necessarily in good directions, but they're always evolving. If you can stay on top of that whilst the competition can't, then you might have some actual room to grow there. But when it comes to your overall success, don't follow the traditional model. The model that we were all given by the boomers, get good grades, come out of high school, go straight into college. What do you want to do for the rest of your life? You have no idea. Well, just pick something out of a hat and make it work. When it comes to jobs, we'll save that for a second. One, you can't afford to be the back of the line if you have a college degree and a massive amount of debt behind you. If you can get a degree for damn near nothing, full ride, or you really credit max going into something like Western Governors University, then you can actually come out with little to no debt if you have at least enough savings to cover the cost of your degree program. But you cannot afford to be in debt at a young age anymore. You can't, honestly, and this is the truth, this has been the same for my generation. It's less so for Gen X. But these days, you cannot afford to make a wrong play, a bad play, a wrong move. You cannot afford the financial consequences of it, especially just starting out. Your primary targets are FU money, that's critical, and just finding a normal job that you can tolerate, because, truth be told, that's the worst and hardest part of it. Building up a war chest is fairly easy. Cutting your costs down to bare bones, only getting vehicles that are worth a damn, that will actually be reliable. The old Toyotas from the late 90s, they're still moving. The old Panther platforms, they're still moving. Find vehicles that'll last, especially outside the city. It's damn near a requirement. Vehicles that last, that are cheap to insure. You get bare bones insurance. If you destroy it, that's it. Walk away from it. But you cannot afford college. Most of my generation went to college. most of them are doing nothing with it. The amount of people with degrees, now given I didn't get my degree, but I can call myself a software engineer. Me and a whole group of friends, we all got together during COVID, and our plan was to get into tech, get into software engineering, build up war chests, and just how was it? I forget the term. Damn it, retire early. 1 second. Technical difficulties in my brain. What is it short for? Financial independence, retire early. Of course, I forget the first half. Anyway, what ended up happening is some of us got out of boot camp, some of us got done with self-study, some of us got done with degree programs right in time for ChatGPT and Copilot and all the other AI tools to just spawn. And there went all of the entry-level jobs. And competing in tech right now, worst thing you could possibly have to do, because you have all of the tech layoffs from all the low-level work getting automated out. And now all of the previous entry-level people are all competing, even the, mid-level are all competing for what is an entry-level job now. And of course, the pay rates have fallen. Before the AI tools, software engineer could make, the average was like 120 to 160 grand a year. Now that's like they'll max you out at 91,000, but overall labor is getting crushed into this band where you will never, like, they want to take all of the responsibility, all of the risk out of general labor. They want to compress it all into one band and lock everybody in at about 50K a year. They don't want anybody going over that, and that's pretty much the same across all of corporate America in business. You cannot afford to just throw money at degree programs without a guarantee. And that's fundamental. You need a guaranteed job if you're going to go and get a degree. More importantly, if you have to get a degree for a job, where possible, and it sounds ridiculous, but where possible, you have to bend over the employers and get them to pay for it. All right, because this, going into massive amounts of debt for the right to still work at, slave wages in comparison, that's not it's not a fair deal. And honestly, with the fact that the cost of living keeps moving up and most people are stuck working at 15 an hour, pretty much regardless of what they get into, it ain't worth it. It's just not worth it. What you should do instead of going the college route, first and foremost, there's a handful of things. Now, given, of course, you got to do things legally, but there's a handful of things that you're good at. You're good at them. You've been good at these things since you were younger. You mostly considered it a hobby. You looked over it, you passed over it, and then you're sitting there looking at like, oh, well, I could be an electrician, could be a plumber, could be this, could be that. Yeah, you can be anything. You can legitimately be anything, but you're never going to put as much energy into something. You're never going to put as much energy into something that you want to, like, you have to do. All right? Don't chase after the things you can do. Chase after the things that are just naturally ingrained in you that you're predisposed to. Go that route. And honestly, don't waste time expecting employers to actually one day post the job that you're going to go for. You have to break away from the common formula. You have to create your own businesses. There's no other way around this. You can pay attention to the news all you want to. AI is making breakthroughs left and right. You already know this. Now, the default for most people is to just throw in the towel, give up, and wait for universal basic income, which absolutely is going to happen. Don't get me wrong. Something like that is going to happen because the majority of labor in this country was unnecessary. Like, even the office workers, the majority of labor, if you go back to David Graeber, he wrote a book called Bullshit Jobs. And keeping that in mind, the majority of jobs in this country are bullshit. Generic labor, yeah, you need it. But you look at management, you look at office workers, like all of their jobs can be automated, and they are being automated as time goes on. Obviously, you don't necessarily need programmers, especially entry level programmers, when you have AI making all the mistakes on its own. All right, then you only need mid and senior level to clean up the mess. There is no room for entry level anymore. As time goes on, it bare labor, basic labor, and then this whole band, AI, and then senior level. That's it. There'll be no need for any of the in between. Problem is, the majority of people fill the in between gap. All you can really do is work a normal job. In addition to working a normal job, start to, and it sounds ridiculous because we all got fed this line of bullshit when we were young too. Follow your heart and the money will follow. Essentially, the other side opposite branding of that. Do the things that you want to do and find a way to turn it into an actual income stream. Turn whatever you are good at into a business and roll with it. You're going to have to employ yourself, especially going into the future. You're going to have to find a way to employ yourself. You cannot rely, medium term, long term, you cannot rely on any of these companies to, one, survive, two, be, honestly, the majority of jobs are toxic shitholes. And, we can all, like, God knows, you go into an interview and you have to put on the song and dance and the act like you really want to work at this job because it is the best job on earth, and you research the company and it's a fantastic company. And please, I need the money. No, you don't want to be in that position. That's torture. That is absolute torture. What you want to do is get very good at the things that you are naturally predisposed to, turn it into a business, give yourself a job, and ride out into the future. All right, that's where you want to be. You want to, anything worth doing, anything that you will stumble into that's worth doing, you can find a way to do it cheaply. All right, so you get started on the cheap side and then you expand out. You can honestly, so I did this when I was much younger, but spin up 5 or 6 ideas, just the initial building blocks, and use those as feelers. Whatever starts to actually get positive responses, you can start going down that direction. Of course, you want to base it off of your strong suits. Once you have an idea of what's needed in your area, I mean, you can turn any want into a need with enough advertising. But once you have a solid idea of what's wanted and needed in your area, play off of that and set yourself up as well as you can. When it comes to jobs, there's There's a couple of categories, but the most common that you're going to run into are the high turnover jobs that, for the most part, like, you will most likely not be able to avoid the toxic work environments. You will not be able to avoid the office drama, the politics. You won't be able to avoid it. No matter how hard you try, one way or another, it's going to pull you in. Don't look at jobs as being long term. You have to look at every job as being a short term thing. And whilst you're looking at it as a short term thing, you're building up your war chest, you're positioning yourself out, you're positioning yourself. So when the time comes around where you are put in a position where you either have to quit or be fired, you'll be relatively all right to ride it out. You especially want that FU money. Um, so if they try to bend you over the barrel or force you to do things you don't want to do, or force you to work hours you don't want to work, you can just crank up the middle finger, walk out. All right. And the reality is, most companies in this country, vast majority of companies in this country, will inevitably put you in a position where you have to say, where you have to draw that line, that just baseline of self respect, where you have to be like, nah, fuck you. And that's okay. That's okay. Honestly, most managers suck. Most companies suck. And they will absolutely not work in your interest. They will. The only thing a company wants out of you is more and more labor, more time. It doesn't matter how much you give them in terms of actual work, effort, or time. They will never be satisfied. They will always find something to complain about. You will never, you will never, never not see when it comes time to do your performance report, you will never see the words meets expectations or exceeds, especially exceeds expectations. It will always be needs improvement, needs improvement, needs improvement. Don't waste your time. Don't get your hopes up on the idea of the perfect job. The only perfect job is the one that you make yourself. You have to control the circumstances, you have to control the work you want to do, you have to have full control over it all. There's no in between. Now, given there are people who absolutely are more predisposed to being told what to do. The problem is, especially as you get older, that shifts. That shifts, especially when you know, a perfect example is when you know that your managers are making a terrible fucking decision. Terrible, terrible choice. Or they just refuse to do their jobs at all. And it ends up becoming a problem for everybody else in the workplace. And this is a common one, especially now, because everybody is crashing out and just losing it left and right. The financial stresses, the general politics and drama of any modern workplace. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Create your own thing. There's tons of opportunities that you can still do. You can still spin them up on the cheap. Take advantage of the time that you have to set yourself up for a better life. You don't want to, and this is just, I want you to imagine all of the workers that have been getting laid off as they're replaced by AI. Or, a lot of companies are using AI as the cover to just accelerate the outsourcing. Some of these people were legitimately sitting there thinking like, yes, this is my dream job. I'm just going to rot in this chair for 20 years and that's going to be my life. And they got a rude ass awakening. There is no stability anymore. COVID showed you and everybody else that, stability is an illusion, just like security is an illusion. Everything you want, you have to get yourself. There is no alternative. If you want financial stability, well, I can't give financial advice, but owning silver was a smart idea. Owning gold is a smart idea. Owning housing is starting to shift away from being a smart idea. What else? There's another one that I keep forgetting. Regardless, dollar's down 20%, so stability out the window. You have to start working for you. At the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. You have to work for you. Don't rely on companies. Don't rely on corporations. Don't rely on the government. Don't rely on anybody else but you. All right? And you will never be disappointed. You will never burn yourself. You will never get screwed over by yourself. But you will get screwed over by government. You will get screwed over by your corporation, your company, whatever. You will get shafted. And they won't, blink twice. They won't have a second thought about it. When it is selectively more advantageous to the company to purge you, they will do it. With the exception of a handful of fields, personally, I would not go the route of nursing because the medical system does not want to pay for the higher end nursing levels, certifications, training. They don't want to pay the higher rates. Most companies don't want to pay higher rates for labor where they could just specialize the higher requirements out to some poor, overworked employee and then just take all of the labor aspects and create that big generic labor class. Healthcare doesn't seem like it's going to be too stable going forward. Tech, obviously, not going to be too stable. Considering Lyft and Uber and all of the alternatives. I forget the other companies, but it's a thing. They're all unicorns, but definitely not a good idea to become a cab driver. I suppose at the end, what it really comes down to is you do you. That being said, once again, Spades Consulting. Hold on. Oh. Yeah. No, I don't care that much. SpadesConsulting.com. Me and a growing team behind this are more than willing to advise you for when it comes to personal and business matters. And in addition, you can check out the Substack, where it's mostly me writing, just like it's mostly me doing the videos, but as time goes on, I should be able to pull more and more of the affiliates into this and provide that extra perspective that you might be looking for. Forgive my stumbling over some of the words. Brain works faster than the face. Anyway, this has been Spades Consulting, LLC. I'm Michael, and you have a good one. See ya.